Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Thomas Tyree from On the Hot Podcast. Today I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content we'll have for you guys today will be in the NFL world in the sport of football. If you guys haven't checked out our episode 100, our small milestone for things to come for this podcast, episode 100 is now available on all four of our platforms: our Instagram account, our Facebook account, our YouTube account, and our Apple Podcast account. So if you haven't checked out episode 100, you can now watch or listen to the episode. But in this bonus content segment video I have for you guys today, I'll be sharing my NFL power rankings after the 2023 NFL draft. So I'll be ranking what I believe are the top 5 teams in the NFL from number 5 all the way to number 1. So team number 5 to me is the Baltimore Ravens. They did some big things last week. Hours before the NFL draft, they re-signed their franchise quarterback Lamar Jackson to a monstrous 5-year extension worth $260 million, which made Lamar Jackson the highest paid player in NFL history last week, hours before the NFL draft. So it's huge heading into the draft that the Ravens didn't have to blow a pick on a possibly a quarterback, possibly a defensive player when they got Lamar Jackson back. And they finally surrounded him with offensive help, something that they have failed to do for the course of Lamar Jackson's career so far with the Baltimore Ravens. Starting off with a good, they started off in the offseason with a good note. They got rid of former offensive coordinator Greg Roman. I do believe he was responsible for holding back Lamar Jackson offensively. Yes, you helped him win his first MVP during the 2019 NFL season, but you have to grow as an offensive coordinator. You can't keep doing the same things with Lamar Jackson. You got to be more creative as an offensive play caller. Greg Roman failed to do that as an offense coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens after the 2019 season. So I thought it was a great job for them to get part ways from Greg Roman and go in a different direction offensively. They started off on a good note this offseason by getting rid of Greg Roman. Then in the NFL draft, they drafted Zay Flowers from Boston College, who's an explosive offensive playmaker with the ball in his hands. He's a guy that can make plays in open space. Definitely a great addition to the Baltimore Ravens offensive room. And they also signed veteran wide receiver Odell Beckham to a 1-year contract. So the offense next year I expect them to be a top 5 offense. When you talk about average points per game offensively, Lamar Jackson, the Ravens have Lamar Jackson at quarterback. They have J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, the tag team duo at running back. They have Odell Beckham as their main wide receiver. They have Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. When I think about it, you could have Odell Beckham and Rashad Bateman on the outside. You can have Zay Flowers play in the slot. And also you have your two tight ends, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, who I do believe will take the next step in his NFL career, get more playing time, more reps this NFL season. So I'm expecting a lot of big things from the Baltimore Ravens offensively. Defensively, like I said on the bonus contact video last week, they were a good defensive team, top 10 defensive unit after they acquired Raquan Smith before the NFL trade deadline. So I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to be a good team next year. If Lamar Jackson, the only thing I have a question mark about the Ravens is if Lamar Jackson can stay healthy, because you guys know the last 2 NFL seasons he's missed the month of December back-to-back times. The first time in 2021, it costed them when they were 8-3 at the time, and they finished the season at 8-9 without Lamar Jackson. This past NFL season, they were one of the best teams in the AFC. Lamar Jackson gets hurt. They only win one more game for the entire season and losing the first round to the Cincinnati Bengals. So if Lamar Jackson can stay healthy and this offensive unit can stay healthy, I do believe they'll be one of the best teams in the NFL next year. Number 5 for me is the Baltimore Ravens. Number 4, I have the San Francisco 49ers. They are heading into next season. On paper, they are set to be, once again, one of the best teams in the NFC. They're coming off of 2 NFC championship appearances over the last 2 seasons and have one of the best rosters in the National Football League. This team is surrounded by talent offensively. They have Christian McCaffrey at the running back position. They have one of the best tight ends in the league, George Kittle. On the outside for wide receivers, they have Deebo Samuel and they have Brandon Ayuk. And they have one of the best offensive linemen in football in Trent Williams. However, and let me get to that, jumping the gun a little bit. But defensively, they have Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, and Fred Warner. So they have a lot of talent offensively and defensively. But the only thing that this team lacks is a quarterback. The quarterback is a huge question mark for this team heading into next NFL season. We are not sure if Brock Purdy will be available. There's the Mr. Irrelevant, the final selection from the 2022 NFL draft, who took off in the second half of the NFL season at quarterback for the 49ers. He did not lose one single start and got them all the way to the NFC Championship game. However, in the first drive of that game, he got his shoulder injured, and he had to go under Tommy John surgery. For people that follow baseball, when pitchers go through with that injury, that sidelines them for at least a year and some change. We don't know if Brock Purdy's going to play this NFL season or not. He'll be a lucky man if he can. But with that being said, the quarterback situation is definitely a question mark. Right now, they have former third overall pick Trey Lance from the 2021 draft sitting there. But the 49ers, I don't believe that Kyle Shanahan, the organization, truly believes in him. Therefore, they're not ruling out the fact that Sam Darnold, who they just picked up during free agency, former third round pick in his own right, former third overall pick in his own right, in the 2018 NFL draft, could be the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers next season. And if it was up to me, I would truly give Trey Lance another chance. He only played a total of 2.5 games. How do you know how good Trey Lance is if you don't give him another chance? And if I'm a betting man, Trey Lance can do a better job in Kyle Shanahan's offense than Sam Darnold. But hey, we'll see how this thing plays out. I do believe that whoever starts, the 49ers still will be a great team in the NFC. They're number 4 for me right now. And number 3, I had the Cincinnati Bengals. Hands down, I've been the second best team in the AFC over the last 2 seasons. In the 2021 NFL season, they won the AFC Championship against the Chiefs and were just a drive away from winning the Super Bowl against the Los Angeles Rams. Fast forward to this past season, they were just a possession away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship again. So I really have high expectations for this Bengals team moving forward with Joe Burrow at the helm. But if anyone has forgotten watching and listening, they do have over the last 2 seasons, they do have the number of the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs sent them home last year in the playoffs, but the Bengals are 3-1 against them in the last 2 seasons. So I really do think that the Bengals are not going anywhere in the AFC, and they also have the number of the Buffalo Bills. They sent them home in dominating fashion in the second round of the playoffs, and playing on the road, beating them in a hostile environment in Buffalo. So I don't believe that the Bengals are going anywhere. They're still loaded offensively with their offensive core. They still have Joe Burrow, one of the best quarterbacks at the helm. They have Joe Mixon still at running back. They still have the trio of talented wide receivers in Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. And they also just snagged Orlando Brown from free agency, former offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs, and brought him over to the Cincinnati Bengals, and he'll be on the offensive line for them. So they're gonna be good offensively. Defensively, they've revamped their defense after losing some key additions during NFL free agency. Starting off with their first round pick at edge rusher Miles Murphy from Clemson. Then they drafted cornerback from Michigan, DJ Turner II in the second round. And they also added safety from Alabama, Jordan Battle for them. So they revamped their defense in the draft. I don't think the Bengals are going anywhere next year. They're going to be competing with the best in the AFC. They're number 3 for me. And number 2, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. They're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions and have been the best team in the AFC for the last 5 years, making 5 consecutive AFC championship game appearances. That is historic for Patrick Mahomes and company in Kansas City, proving that they are going to be a Final Four team every single year. They did it for the last 5 seasons. I wouldn't be surprised if they go ahead and play in the AFC Championship next season to make it a 6th straight season. But despite that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, they did lose some key free agents during NFL free agency. They lost Frank Clark, they lost Juju Smith, and they lost Orlando Brown, like I just said a few moments ago. But they did draft well to replace those talented players that they lost in NFL free agency. And at the end of the first round, they drafted Felix Uzama, edge rusher from Kansas State. In the later rounds, they got Rashee Rice, wide receiver from SMU, and they got a tackle from Oklahoma Juana Morris also. So they drafted well to replace those three names that I just mentioned. Offensively, I do believe that Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, rookie running back last year, who made a huge rookie statement of why he could be one of the best running backs in the league one day. I do expect Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore to step up big time at the wide receiver position, filling the role of Juju Smith, who left during free agency. And I'm not worried about them defensively. They're always one of the best defensive units, definitely an underrated defensive unit over the last few NFL seasons. So Kansas City Chiefs are going to be around for a long time. They're the second best team on my power rankings. And at number one, it makes me sick to my stomach. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit about to name this team, but number one is the Philadelphia Eagles. They are the best team in the NFC. Clearly, we're one possession away from winning the Super Bowl. We saw Jalen Hurts out battle and outplay Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, so they have one of the best quarterbacks as far as I'm concerned in the National Football League. He's in the conversation for being a top 5 quarterback in the league as we speak today. But they got better, and they won the NFL draft by far. To me, Howie Roseman, it's getting ridiculous. He can't keep getting away with this. He's one of the best general managers in the National Football League at making moves and getting good players for a cheap asking price. And he doesn't make moves. He makes moves that look impossible into a reality. And it started with the NFL draft. The Philadelphia Eagles had pick 10, courtesy of the New Orleans Saints. They got that pick from them a few years ago. So they picked 10 overall. They moved up the trade. They moved up in the draft to select 9 overall, and got arguably the best defensive player in the draft, and Jalen Carter, defensive tackle from Georgia. And they end up getting in the second round. I mean, by the end of the first round, they got edge rusher Nolan Smith, who ran a 4.3 in the at the NFL Combine. And they acquired DeAndre Swift, former running back for the Detroit Lions. They got him in this for a 2025 fourth round pick. So they have definitely gotten better. You might as well call them the Philadelphia Bulldogs, because there's a lot of Georgia Bulldog alumni on the Philadelphia Eagles team now. Offensively, they are loaded. I expect them to be the best offensive football next year. They have Jalen Hurts at quarterback. They have DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny as a tag team duo at the running back position. They have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith as wide receivers, and they have Dallas Goedert at the tight end position. And the icing on the cake, they have the best offensive line in football, in my opinion. It's going to be hard to stop them. And that it doesn't stop there, because their defense, I'm scared of, as a Dallas Cowboys fan, I am terrified, and I am scared of their front seven after this NFL draft. And it's going to be like that. Their defensive front, their front seven is going to be a X factor and a nightmare for years to come. Because now they have, from last year, they got Jalen Carter and Nakobe Dean from the NFL draft last year. So now they have Jalen Carter. They have Jordan Davis, both at the, let me go back. Jordan Davis, who they got last year in the first round. They just got Jalen Carter. So they have Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis at the defensive tackles. They have Nakobe Dean at the linebacker. Now you have Nolan Smith as your edge rusher. And we've seen how 4 of those guys have been dominant together when they were part of one of the best defenses in college football history with the Georgia Bulldogs during the 2021-22 college football season. So it's going to be scary. They were scared together in college, and they're not going to let off the gas playing together in the NFL. Bad time to be a Cowboys fan or a fan of any team in the NFC East. But those are my NFL power rankings of the 2023 NFL Draft. That is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.